Hi everyone, welcome to the Inspired Design School of Fashion. My name is Jumoke Olagunju. Today we'll be learning how to make these simple shorts. Last week in our class we learned how to make the alternate top. If you are here to watch the video, you can check it on our YouTube channel, the Inspired Design School of Fashion, or on our Facebook group, the Inspired Design School of Fashion also. Alright, so we'll quickly learn how to make these shorts. There are different ways and different techniques involved in making pants, and there are four major pants foundation. We have the culotte, we have the trouser foundation, we have the slack foundation, we have the jean foundation. Each of these foundations have different techniques and different adjustments involved. They have different crotch extension, and it affects the final result. But in this class I won't be going into all those details because it's meant to be a very quick one, and it's meant for everyone to be able to follow, even beginners. Okay, so I'll just bypass all those technicalities and just give you some key points to make these short pants. All right, so let's get started. Thank you. Start with the front part of the pant, and it's folded into two. You can make the length as long as you want the length of your pants to be, but this is the fabric I have, and I'm going to make do with the length I have 16 inches here. No, I want to use this width. Okay, I want to use this place for the width of the pants. Okay, so that means my length will be this. Don't mind me, I'm just making use of what I have less than 14 inches there, so I'm just going to go ahead and cut this into two. Alright, so one part here will be for the back and one will be for the front. So this is for the front. Now I have a width of 16 inches. As we go on, you get to learn how much fabric you need, how to calculate the length. So now we need first the hip measurements. The hip measurement is divide the hip measurement into 4. So the hip measurement is 38 inches. I think that divided by 4 is 9.5. So first of all, I need 9.5. But on this side, I'm going to put my seam. So I'm just going to measure ½ inch first, just so that I don't forget. This fabric is not straight enough. Then I have to be careful the direction of my flower. Okay, well, the direction is going to be affected because I've changed the the fabric, so we're just going to make do with what we have. Let me trim it first. Okay, so I'm going to leave my seam allowance first. I'm going to measure my seam allowance ½ inch for the seam at the side. This is the side seam. So from that ½ inch now, I'm going to measure my 9.5 inches. So it's here. That's the length of the hip length, hip circumference divided by 4, 9.5. Then to calculate the extension for the front, you're going to divide this 9.5. You're going to find a quarter of 9.5 for the extension. So the quarter is I think 2. Let me quickly calculate that. 9.5 divided by 4. Okay, I have 2/3/8. So something like 2¼ So my extension will be let me use 2.5. Okay, 2.5. All right, so now from this point now, I'm going to let's measure the hip depth. The hip depth is the hip that you measure from where you want the pants to stay on your body. Maybe around maybe you want it to be on the natural waist or on the abdomen. You measure it from that point. So the hip length is hip depth is like 8.5. So I'm going to mark 8.5 here. Sorry, let's draw a line from the hip measurement, the hip circumference. This is a 9.5 mark. So from that point now, this is the hip depth. Then you're going to measure the crotch depth. The crotch depth, you also measure it from the same place where you took the measurement for your hip. So the hip, the crotch length is 10 inches. So you're going to add like 3/4 of an inch, 1 inch or more, depending on how loose you want your pant to be. So I'm just going to go ahead and add 1 inch. That is 11 inches. So I have 11 inches here. So from this crotch length, I'm going to measure my extension, which is 2.5. The 2.5 extension that we already calculated. So from there, I'm just going to draw a straight line down. But if you want your pant to be a little bit fitted around this part, the leg area, you can slant it a bit. Or if you take measurement of your upper thigh and use that measurement, okay? So since this is a very short, I may want to slant it a bit so that it's not so open. So I'm just going to go in by 1/2 inch. But whatever you do, make sure that what you have is still more than your upper thigh measurement. The upper thigh measurement is 22 inches and I have like 12 inches there, so I can still go in. Okay, if I go in by 1/2 inch, I will have 11 inches. I mean 11.5 inches. That is without the seam allowance. We'll still have seam allowance, so I'm just slanting it this way. Okay, so to find the crotch distance, and because this is supposed to be a free pants, we're not going to be going inward, we're not going to be shaping it. There's going to be an elastic on top, so we don't really need to shape the top here. I'm not going to do the waist measurement at all. So I'm going to find the midpoint of this from the waistline to the crotch depth. So I have 5.5. That's the midpoint. Then at this angle here, I'm going to mark a straight line and on it measure 1.5, just to guide me on how to create the curve, my crotch curve, or whatever you call it. Okay, so basically that's all we need to do. If you're not going to be using elastic, you're using band, you may need to take the waist measurement and all that, but we're not doing that. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut. While cutting, I've already added my seam allowance here, so I'm going to add my seam allowance to this place also. I'm using 1/2 inch for seam. Okay, so here we have the front piece. Now let's go to the back. We're going to do basically almost the same thing that we did the side. Okay, I don't want to make a mistake. Okay, this is how we're placing the fabric. Let's see, I want to make sure I'm placing it the same way. Okay, all right. So also here I'm going to, let me straighten this part. Then I'm going to mark my 1/2 inch seam allowance at the side. I'm marking my 1/2 inch so that all my measurement will start from there. Okay, so from that 1/2 inch mark now, you're going to measure the hip measurement. Remember, we divided it by 4, that's 9.5. So we're marking 9.5. So I'm just going to take that 9.5 all the way to the top and then down. Okay, so this is the hip measurement. Then let's find the hip depth. I think we use 8.5 there, 8.5. Then the crotch depth is 10 plus 1, that is 11. So now to calculate the extension for the back, we're going to divide this hip measurement by 2. So 9.5, 9.5 divided by 2, that's 4 3/4. Let's see if we have that much. Okay, so 4 3/4 barely. Okay, it's somewhere around here. So I'm going to take it also all the way down. And remember, we slanted this by 1/2 inch, so I'm going to do the same for the down part here also. All right. Then for the curve, find the center, which is 5 1/2. From that point, at the junction here, draw a perpendicular line. Instead of 1 1/2 that we use for the front, we use 2 inches here. If you have your curved ruler, you can use it. I didn't bring it to the table. So you're going to curve from that point. So somewhere, when you use your ruler, it will not go all the way here. It will just stop somewhere here, but that's how you just know how to do your curve. So we are done. No going in, no shaping the waist, because we're using elastic. So when I'm cutting this place also, I'm adding my 1/2 inch seam. Okay. This is the back part. So now what we'll do is to start stitching. So you're going to take one back plus one front, right side on right side, and stitch this side and stitch the crotch, the inseam and the out seam by the 1/2 inch seam that we have left. So let's stitch that too, then I'll come and show you how to complete the remaining part of the pants. Done the stitching. And one thing I forgot to tell you is that when you are doing the top here, when you are doing all your measurements, the hip depths and the crotch, you should add allowance at the top for turning it down. So if you're going to use a 1 inch elastic for the top, you should add 1 1/2 at the top. If you're using like 1/4 of an inch, you should add maybe 1 inch or 3/4 of an inch to the top. So please don't forget that, because if you don't, by the time you turn it down, it's going to shorten the crotch depth. Okay, after joining like this, we're going to turn one to the right and the one to the left. So the one that is turned to the right, you're going to insert it into the one turned to the left so that you can stitch. We're going to put this together at the crotch level. Do I have my pin here? So then you join the front crotch here all the way to the top. Once that is done, you turn it to, your pant is ready, you turn it to the right side, then turn the top and insert your elastic. Then also you finish the hem of the pant, and that's it. Let's finish it and let me show you the finished result. So our pant is ready, and it's so easy to make. So like I said, if you want to learn a more detailed, you want to have a more detailed knowledge of pant making, as in the different kind of pants we have, you can join our online class. We have a class that covers 8 different kinds of pants. Any kind of pant you can think of, the short, the joggers, and everything. They all have a little bit of difference in, the foundation for making them. All right, so that's it for this class. Thank you for joining us this week, and I would love to see your practice work. Share with us on our Facebook page, the Inspired Design School of Fashion, and see you next week. Bye.